At this time, I would like to introduce these young men that I brought along with me that I feel that on and off the field, the character is going to exemplify our performance in our play. And these young men understand the stress, the importance of they're not just a football player. They have to understand it. To be in this room right now, you have to, you know, you're living as a football player, you're living as a student athlete, you're living as a young man. Somebody's son, my son is at practice every day, and he's watching these guys, the things that they're doing. And they need to understand, and I think we're headed down the right path with them understanding that they're not only touching the fans, they're not only touching me as a coach, but they're touching little kids. And they need to understand the importance of putting on this Texas Southern uniform. It's not just to say I'm a Texas Southern football player, but we're talking about building young men for life. So at this time, I want Fred Plummer's wide receiver, who was here last year, E.J. Perkins-Lovin, Trey Walker, Tevin Wilcox, Greg Brady. I always give Greg a hard time. He's from California. That's an area I don't too much recruit, but he's holding his own. Billy Rosenberg, he's a basketball player and football player. I tell you about Billy. I always get on Bill. I say, if Mike Davis asked you to run to do something, you're going to do it. But I got to fuss and I got to holler and all this. But Billy's a good kid. Malik Cross, some kind of way he followed me from Shaw. I have I don't know how he got here. He followed me from Shaw. His mom and dad dropped him off. Said, Coach, take care of him. Bloom is one of these hybrid guys Coach talking about. I've been meeting with Coach Vike, and we've been kind of deciding where we're going to play Bloom. He's a defensive end. He's very athletic. He can play, put his hand in the ground. He can play standing up as well. But the most important thing, Bloom is also a 4.0 student. Our quarterback, Homer Kazi. Homer's another young man that I guess he jumped in the car with Malik and followed me from Shaw. But let me say this about Homer Kazi. And I told him this, when the light cuts on in his head, it won't be a quarterback in the country that can play like this kid. And I'll say this, I've watched him as a 17-year-old kid. I went in his house and recruited him. When he decides to understand the light cuts on in his head, our quarterback problem is solved. He's that type of kid, he's that type of person, that type of athlete. Shipman is a receiver that has gotten his degree. Let me say that. And I told him in meeting the other day, I said, don't you just come back to be average. You've already gotten your degree. You could easily go get you a job if you're just going to come back and go through the motion. He's been the most consistent. He's been where he's supposed to be. He's been a leader. Really, all three of these guys. You remember the Dallas Cowboys had the big three. Well, we're going to have more than the big three offensively. I'll tell y'all that when I finish introducing. Devion Porter, young man that was ranked one of the top 5 running backs in junior college football coming out. And I'll tell you how this thing works. And I told him and his parents this. He was ranked one of the top 5 junior college running backs coming out in the country. But when he signed with Texas Southern, he dropped to 25th. Now that's not right. But like I told Davion and his parents, we're gonna show him why and where he's supposed to be ranked. Because some folks look at us as just a small school, and I have a problem with that. And I'm going to leave that alone before I get a fine, Mr. Bush. And my linebacker, Jarvis Moore. Now, as a freshman, they didn't want to play Jarius last year, but I had to stand on the table for him. We're going to play him. He was one of the best linebackers along with Billy Parker that we had last year, and he's really, really mature. And we want him to continue to grow as a young student athlete. These young men that I just introduced will be the face of the program, along with the rest of those guys. We have a whole new look with the restraints that we're under. You know, we talk about it all the time. When you have to rebuild the whole program, you have to kind of pull and try to patch the size of the positions that you really need the most, get that taken care of, and hoping that these young men here will stay healthy along with the rest of the football team. It is a concern with our depth. The biggest thing we just need to do right now is stay healthy, be smart in practice, and get through practice, get through training camp. And if we can get them to the field August 31st, then we're going to let the chips fall where they may. Any questions?
Tell us about the season, what you see our season shaping up to be.
Well, it's still early for us. We didn't have a spring. Coach and I was talking about that on the bus coming over. So we were trying to cram a lot of things in without getting anybody hurt, without getting anybody, seriously banged up. But the most important thing was this spring we had about 54 kids in summer school. And that was very, very important. We hired a new strength and conditioning coach, Marshall Hayes. He's done an excellent job with these guys. I thought that was real important because we could not be in there with them. So by Dr. McCullum blessing us with the resources to be able to have these young men here for training for summer camp and summer school was very appreciative. The season, we're just going to try to be sound, play sound football, don't beat ourselves, don't turn the football over, and every point counts. Get points whenever we're in the red zone. For us, offensively, the 35 plus 35 is the red zone for us, and we need to get points out of that.
Well, go ahead.
You have a open competition at the quarterback position, and you mentioned that there's no spring ball. How difficult is it to try to fill that position when trying to cram in so many plays and get a proper evaluation for your quarterback position?
It's real difficult. It's so difficult that I had to hire 2 quarterback coaches. So we have 9 quarterbacks. So it's real difficult. And I tell you, the young freshman quarterback, Jay Kristoff, he's really looking good in practice. So, we have a lot of toys to play with. And, once we can really sit down, next week we'll scrimmage tonight, and then next Saturday will be our last scrimmage. And then we're going to start game planning and try to figure out where we're going to be, who's going to be what quarterbacks we're going to redshirt, because there's a lot of talent at that position. And we do plan to redshirt some guys for the future because in 2 years, Kazi, Smalls, and Carrington will be gone. So we need to prepare for the future as well.
Coach, you talked about the big 3 in Dallas. You will mention that after you get through speaking earlier.
Well, the beauty about this year in the backfield, we have Lovin and we have Porter. So it feels real great to have those 2 guys. And when you're talking about 2 guys that can flat out run, it'll make the play calling a little easier now once they get in the secondary. So these guys can really get it done. You'll see times where you're going to have both of them in the backfield together. And then when you had Fred Plummer and Malik Cross and Shipman and my tight end to the matchup, I feel real confident. So, I said, and I'll say it again, I told Dr. McCullum, I'm excited. Just to say we didn't have spring football, I'm very excited.
Coach, one more question for you. Looks like your next home game after August 31st is in October. On the road a lot, how you keep your guys' heads straight?
Well, if we can get off to a good start, which I know we will, and we stay healthy coming out of Sam Houston, we'll just be the greatest show on turf. So if you like the circus, we on the road again. And I'm looking at these guys. I told them, give me a reason to brag, give me a reason to talk smack. but I can only talk as much as if they allow me to talk, then I'm gonna talk. So it's on them. We're gonna put them in the right position to make plays, and I keep stressing discipline, discipline. And you know, look at Arkansas Pine Bluff football team last year. Coach Coleman did a great job, but I think the most important thing he did was they were a disciplined football team. They didn't make a lot of mistakes. He didn't have to suspend any players for doing wrong, and that kept the team together. And that's what we want to try to do here at Texas Southern. Keep these guys together. Don't put us in positions where we have to make decisions, and just play as a team. It's about the team, all three phases of the game.
Yes, sir, Coach. Can you talk to us about your offensive line and your kicking game in terms of where they are, strengths and weaknesses on the team?
Well, offensive line-wise, we'll start there. We're a young offensive line. We redshirted a young man last year, Brandon Charles. He'll be playing this year. We do still have Kenny Hall and we call him Kendrick Williams. I'm sorry. Yeah, Big Baby. That's what they call him. We still have those guys coming back. And Marvin Holly be our center. We have a young man that's about 6'4", 6'5", Glenn Jackson. We're starting at a right guard. And you know, we still have some young guys we signed. We signed a young man, Adrian Jackson from Longview. You know, we'll be very young at that position, but we have 10 good linemen that we can kind of lean on, but we have to develop them. So that's why it's important. I know I put the pressure on Coach Vite that we play good defense early. And once we can do that, give those guys a chance to develop, we'll be fine. We signed a kicker out of LaPorte High School, along with the young man that we have coming back from last year. Then we still have our long snappers, tight end, Zach Ferris. So I feel good about our kicking game, like our chances.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.